GM fam, today is Friday, November 22nd, the first day of the rest of our lives, and we are back for yet another Llama Party. So excited to be closing the year strong with so many bullish signals, Vitalik using Viper, Bitcoin closing in on 100K, and most importantly, real estate is going to be making its way on the blockchain via Regnum Aurum, aka RAAC. So we've got from RAAC, KKrusher, and MD. Could you gentlemen introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah, MD, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, no, in this space for a while, like I think I'm a 17 child. But yeah, this is a really interesting opportunity, and Crusher's been leading the way with trying to bring an asset that everyone's like really used to. So I've been playing in the financial space for a while and pretty deep into the DeFi world, and happy to join the RAAC party.
Awesome. And yeah, I'm Crusher. I'm the founder and CEO of Regnum Aurum or RAAC. And yeah, gonna be tokenizing real estate and RWAs and bringing it on chain in a manner that's familiar to the DeFi natives.
Excellent. So let's go ahead and just get right into that. If I use RAAC, will I get a mansion?
Potentially. No promises. No promises.
It seems like okay, so let's just like dive into like how big is the opportunity if you are successfully able to bring real estate on chain? Can you like give some perspective to users who aren't familiar with the kind of relative size of the different markets, real estate versus crypto?
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty crazy. So the kind of global value of real estate currently is roughly around $326 trillion. And here we are in DeFi, and last time I checked, I believe stablecoins were sitting at about $186 billion market cap. So, I mean, we've grown leaps and bounds in this space, but we're still a drop in the bucket compared to TradFi.
So if I do my mental math correctly, that's a 1000x difference.
Yeah. It's that huge, and that's just real estate, and doesn't focus on kind of any other asset classes such as gold, commodities like oil, things like that.
Okay. So it's obviously like a huge opportunity, and I don't like to play the game of like if you just get 1% of that market, because it's never works like that. But like there is like just a ton of like silly money that can be flowing into this space. But people have tried this in the past, right?
Yes. I mean, we kind of see it going on with RWAs currently, but generally they're very focused around like T-bills, or they're completely walled off and KYC'd from the rest of DeFi. So there's no composability and accessibility, and I feel like that's where a lot of people have come in and tried, and then they can't really pick up that much traction due to kind of the restrictions.
So what do you see as some of the restrictions that have hampered this in the past, and how is RAAC going to overcome this?
Yeah, so great question. I think the biggest thing is the people who are using DeFi are going to be the natives who have been around for a bit, the people who are interacting with protocols such as Curve, Aave. So that's kind of the market you need to address, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but usually when prices are going the way they are, I get lots of calls blowing up my phone. All my normie friends are like, "Oh, should we buy?" This time feels a little bit different. It's a little bit slower, and my big kind of thing is, if we can't convince people to buy Bitcoin and ETH at all-time highs, it's a very large trust gap to bring them in and start purchasing real estate on chain.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. And if I look at like the people I know who have real estate, like for example, like my parents own a house, like they would probably not be super inclined to feel like comfortable putting the deed to their house on chain, right?
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of where we're approaching a little bit differently. And at the start, we would we would like to approach that kind of addressable market in the future. But in the start, to build the traction and build the system, I think there needs to be a deep focus on the way the space is currently operating, which is guys like us who are lending, borrowing, depositing to yield farming strategies and things like that. So you need a product that can really integrate and connect to these systems.
Right. So the way that this works then is essentially like I create like or like okay, so like you tokenize the real estate and then it just trades as an NFT. And once I have that NFT, it kind of opens up the world of anything in DeFi, right? So I could take that NFT and I could yield farm it or I could borrow against it. Is that the basic mechanics?
Yeah, exactly. You got it. It's sounds pretty simple, and the biggest thing about it is our NFTs are accessible across secondary markets, meaning that other protocols can utilize our NFTs in products. And the very exciting thing to me is there's probably things I haven't even thought of, or MD hasn't even thought of, where you'll kind of have people take these assets on chain and spin up new kind of strategies and products around them themselves.
Mhm. Now
Oh,
you
well,
brought,
if
oh,
I
please
if I
go
could
ahead.
add, like a lot of folks are doing this type of borrow like carry trade strategies now. And so, what's the difference? Well, it's the collateral type. So what you use to borrow against tends to be price volatile and has in it has a characteristic of volatility. So real estate has different characters. It has income, stability, and so you're not going to get that kind of price volatility on your collateral. And the incentive is that we're going to allow you to borrow cheap because that's the only way to make the math work, right? Um, so it's the diversification, um, the stability, and the kind of ability to put a strategy together that works.
Got it. Got it. So let's let's be clear on this. Like when I'm borrowing or so when I'm minting this NFT, I'm then paying like a fixed rate. Like how exactly does this work for me if hypothetically I'm putting my house on the blockchain?
Yeah, so to start, RAAC is offering all the real estate that's being brought onto our platform. So it's not allowing just the property
Right.
owner to
I
come to
I get
us.
that. I can't
Okay.
just go load my house on there.
So basically, the NFT um, is like a certificate almost to the deed of the property. So what you can do is basically burn the NFT, and that's when the KYC and AML would really kick in. And if you pass, then we would transfer the title of the property directly to your name. And the whole point, I guess, in the simplest form is RAAC is really allowing people to access the value of real estate on chain, utilizing low and predictable borrowing rates to arbitrage DeFi yield farming opportunities.
Okay. So essentially, like you are bringing some people's houses or some properties on chain. Um, then once these NFTs, I guess, have been minted, I'm like just like a random person. I don't live in the United States, let's say, and I decide to start purchasing these NFTs because I want access to whatever I think the property is going to appreciate at.
Yes, exactly. We'd be using chain link oracles that are tied to the specific properties themselves. And that's kind of what you're leveraging against. So you're leveraging against the value, the true value of the property, and not like a price of the NFT or floor of NFTs.
Got it. And you can see K-Mets here in the chat is already sniffing out how to make a lot of money off this, pointing out that bull market for DeFi means high DeFi rates. Bull market for real estate equals low interest rates, which is sort of like a arbitrage strategy right there. Now, without offering financial advice, could you reply?
Yeah. K-Mets hit the nail on the head there. Generally, what we see is when interest rates rise in traditional finance, you'll see risk assets go down in price, and when interest rates are low in traditional finance, you see risk on assets start climbing. So it kind of works inversely. So when interest rates are high, you're able to arbitrage and basically access the market when it's the cheapest, and vice versa.
Got it. Very cool. Very cool.
And in a weird way, if you think about it, real estate is like a RAAC token because it has income attached to it already. So everyone's looking for this like self-sustaining yield product that just prints while you hold. Well, this collateral is, tends to go up with inflation. So you have like kind of an inflation hedge, income, price stability, so low cost. And then you can go, if you're a savvy DeFi user, you can go and construct your own strategies. But we envision a world where we're going to have like a couch potato option. So you can come to RAAC and borrow your Curve USD and just put it into the couch potato vault, and it will do all the work for you.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So, and I think this might already answer one of DeFi Advisor's questions in the comments, which is what's the Curve connection? It sounds like the idea is at least one possible touch point is you could use it to borrow Curve USD, which then theoretically you could stake for S Curve USD, which right now is giving like good 15% interest rate. That's like presumably one of the connections. Now, but this would require a custom integration because Curve doesn't deal with ERC 721s at the moment, right?
Yeah, so it's a pretty unique way of doing things. At least I like to think so. So the connection to Curve is our base asset is CRV USD, and kind of and topic that I touched on briefly before was the low and predictable borrowing rates, and that's where the key connection to Curve really comes in. So what we're doing is making our lending pool in ERC20, and we're also going to have a stability pool. And the point of the stability pool is that if you have a risky position that needs to be liquidated, the whole process actually stays on chain and the NFT is only liquidated. So the underlying real estate is never touched. And this is what creates this seamless and frictionless kind of on-chain lending and borrowing. We're not having to go and liquidate the real estate in real life to cover the bad debt on the protocol. So our stability pool will also be an ERC20. And what we're going to do is make a LP on Curve Finance. So when you deposit to our LP, you're lending to the RAAC ecosystem and also assisting in liquidating risky positions. So what we have there is we have the ability to then drive CRV rewards. We have the ability, obviously, just because through Convex, there's going to be Convex rewards. And what we're able to do is also layer the RAAC emissions on top. So that's how we're able to kind of play with these levers to alter our interest rates and provide that low and predictable borrowing.
And yes, we want to be heavily integrated into Curve. Like we're choosing Curve USD as the premier borrowing stable. And part of our treasury strategy is to acquire the Curve token to play the whole the game in the Curve wars. So we are, I think that's a free call option here because we've all seen the price. I think it's one of those risk reward scenarios where it's kind of a nice entry point to build a flywheel system.
And another lever of income to kind of direct to that LP is we will also be directing the real world generated income from these assets to the pool as well. So when you lend to or when you deposit to the Curve LP, you're basically earning curve, convex, RAAC, and the real world income from the assets that are being collateralized on RAAC.
Got it. Very good stuff. And I pulled up an article that I wrote about, my understanding of RAAC. And while I have that up on screen, let me just point out that big shout out to the 290 people watching us right now on X. As you can see, we're nearly winning the crypto live streams. We got to get past Tyler D here. So please take a second to share this, reply to the post, do whatever you can, like it, bookmark it, spam it. We got to get up to like 10,000 views, I think, right? Like that would be like the number we're trying to hit here. You can see we're already beating Irene Zhou, which makes sense because I think people would much rather look at you two than her pictures. So by all means,
We'll
let's so this is the article that I wrote up about it, and one of the other touch points that I noticed is that you're getting a lot of like incredibly favorable tweets from both the Llamas NFT project and Michael Egorov himself. This is like quite a badge of honor. It looks like DeFi Advisor is speculating in the comments that KMETs may already be invested. Have you already solicited and raised a seed round from a lot of the big curve angels?
I would like to say, just a disclaimer, now that we're talking about seed rounds and whatnot, this is not to solicit any U.S. investors. Unfortunately, RAAC is for only non-U.S. persons. But yes, we have been kind of approaching some private players that are big in the ecosystem and getting their feedback and so that's where some of these people actually kind of had some exposure to RAAC and kind of get what we're doing as well.
Got it. Now, if you're closed off the U.S. market, isn't that like a pretty huge market that you're going to be losing out on? U.S. real estate's crazy.
Right, for sure. So the I guess the point or the distinction to make there is, although we may not be able to offer our services to U.S. Citizens or persons, does not mean we cannot utilize U.S. real estate. So we'll still be including U.S. real estate on our platform. That's actually what we're starting with.
Okay, good for your sake, not for my sake. Of course, I'm not invested. I can't. I'm broadcasting from the U.S., so it goes. Hopefully, things change soon. Hopefully, in the next few years, regulatory things shift in the United States, and we get to actually participate in the future of the economy. But so it goes. Do you think you're going to get Mitch's mansion on chain? I think that's a question everyone really cares about.
I mean, if there's a way to do it, we would have loved to. I think if RAAC had existed in that time period, there could have been a different scenario that played out potentially. So I mean, if Mitch is willing, we are definitely open to it.
It sounds like you're already in talks with him, so maybe some big news coming from that.
Yeah. He actually just recently joined the RAAC advisory board. So that was a big thing for RAAC, and kind of although it's DeFi and we really like to move fast, we've really taken the time to put this together. I mean, the kind of idea of RAAC actually really came, I would say, in about November 2022. And we started really hammering onto the idea of RAAC in, I would say, March 2023. And I think everyone kind of has a little bit of PTSD from the USDC depegging. That was a kind of very big Kickstarter for us, where you saw the ripple effects across stable coins. You got depegs upwards and downwards. Luckily, I didn't get caught in the crossfire, but my only thought was, holy smokes, if USDC is depegging, what is safe for us, right? That was kind of supposed to be the big gold standard. And that's where my mind started going to, what's a low volatility asset that's productive but exists outside of a bank account or custodianship. And real estate was the first thing I kind of jumped on. And from there, we've really taken the time to do this in the most compliant way possible. Um, and yeah, really took the time to put the pieces together. So we're actually part of Chainlink Build. That's Chainlink's accelerator. And we're actually been working very closely, as you mentioned, with the llamas, being incubated by the llamas since January. So really looking to uh, root ourselves in kind of the ecosystems that we're used to.
Makes sense. Now let's talk a bit about that aspect of how you're bridging the kind of on-chain and off-chain worlds, because obviously, like that's like the big fail point for any of these RWA protocols. If something happens, to your entity, however it's structured, that would kind of kill that bridge between the two. So, what is the process of putting these assets on chain? What's the corporate structure look like? Is there any sort of decentralization built into the process to whatever extent possible? Just talk about that kind of bridge between the on and off chain worlds.
Yeah, for sure. I think part of I would say part of it is with RWAs. There is going to be trust that the user is going to have trust in kind of us and what we're providing on chain, or any issuer really. And at the start, RAAC is going to be kind of the only issuer of the NFTs to start. The real estate would sit in an SPV, so it's protected from us, creditors, shareholders, things like that. But part of what we are aiming to do is it's called the Maverick system. It's essentially going to open this up to having multiple issuers and redeemers. And the point of that is if one issuer goes out, that the whole system doesn't come down. Definitely will take some time to get there, but the goal is to end up kind of decentralizing globally and making sure that nothing can go wrong in that sense. And because of that trust gap, that's also why we've taken the time to really integrate ourselves into the current systems such as Chainlink. We're going to be using proof of reserves and all their functions to prove that everything is all there.
And if I'm not mistaken, you're not just looking at real estate. You're also looking at some other RWAs, or did I make that up?
Yeah. So you are correct. Kind of the real, I think, powerful point, or kind of a more solid bridge between TradFi and DeFi is it kind of hit us maybe a couple weeks ago. Um, and what it is RAAC is more than real estate. You can bring any revenue generating asset, collateralize it to access low and predictable borrowing rates in exchange for a portion of that asset's revenue. So we are talking to multiple parties across different asset classes, from gold miners to oil fields and things like that. But RAAC is actually looking at onboarding gold as well, or precious metals specifically.
That's pretty cool. Now you say that this works if the collateral price goes up. Gold is volatile. There's always concerns in the real estate might go through a deflationary phase. What happens to your system if something like that happens?
Yeah, so that's where you have the deep liquidity through our LP, which is made up of our stability pool. So um, the unique thing about RAAC is we're not a protocol that's all of a sudden going to double in deposits overnight. It's possible. It's definitely possible, but it's not like it's going to happen without our kind of knowledge or control. We know how much liquidity is coming into the system. We always know how much liquidity we need. So it's a very controlled environment that we have to play with.
Got it. And it seems like this is doing some good because the price of Bitcoin is up from 97 to 98K since we started this. So we might be hitting 100K on stream. So let's keep it up. We're also now the top YouTube, or sorry, not top X live stream. We've passed Tyler D's FOMO hour. So thanks for sharing, but let's keep that going because I think the more you
Oh
share,
man,
the
I
more
love it.
Bitcoin does.
Let's keep it going. 10,000.
I
10,000.
mean, one of the high level things that Crusher and I always talk about that I think is beneficial and is definitely needed in DeFi is uncorrelated assets, right? Like if you're trying to build a robust portfolio, because I mean, some people are, and not everyone is giga-longing meme coins. Like people are trying to build proper portfolios because there's attractive yields that can really grow wealth. So if you have capital and you could construct a portfolio with different types of assets that have different types of characteristics, then you can put on these carry strategies and take advantage of the differentials. And that's the whole idea. The whole idea is to bring this different type of, like, we actually hope no one ever gets liquidated. How dumb is that? I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's a positive experience. I mean, even Michael's had to build, the soft liquidation, which is like a really cool mechanism that I don't know, it's underappreciated. But why did he even build that? Because he wants to have a positive carry experience in a sense. So yeah, I think this could be like maybe a level of maturity in building robust portfolios or helping users build better strategies by having collateral that's different. And of course, we're going to have parameters. We don't want people to get blown away. Like we know that different assets move in different with different price levels, right? So
Yeah, and I'm hoping you can educate me because I'm not a very smart human being. But you have this really interesting article about Section 8 real estate. So I know you mentioned that you're like onboarding a bunch of different asset types, but it seems like this concept of Section 8 housing is like front and center in this kind of beachhead market you're targeting. Could you tell me and people who aren't familiar with Section 8 real estate a bit more about how that works?
Yeah, for sure. So Section 8 housing is basically a low-income housing program in the U.S. where majority of the kind of rent is covered by government programs every month. And the big thing behind that is for DeFi, in my personal and very humble opinion, um, you kind of have LPs come and go. You have yields either rising and dropping with kind of the value of the rewards, and it's not always the most predictable and sustainable. So Section 8 allows us to basically bring dollar denominated yield that's predictable and sustainable on chain. And that's kind of the big focus. And if you look at Section 8 real estate, there's actually quite a large need for it. I think there's about a 2-year wait list last time I checked to actually get into the program. And of those people, I believe only about 50% actually find the housing that they need. So it definitely is a market that needs to be served. But it also provides great value to DeFi. And part of the way that RAAC works is our NFTs are one-to-one backed. So Section 8 is a great way to keep the barrier of entry low on the NFTs. And as RAAC grows, we'll be able to introduce larger pieces of real estate or kind of more premium real estate as well.
So good news to all the meme coin traders out there. You might have a chance to move out of your parents' basement and into some Section 8 housing soon. and you can even then trade it on chain. So Ryan C, who's watching on YouTube, and we've been talking a lot about the X audience because we're number one there. But big shout out to all those watching on YouTube as well, where you can of course catch this video after the fact. Who is managing the Section 8 housing properties?
So we're sourcing a couple different options, but essentially we're using an institutional grade platform that is designed to basically handle large purchases. They do all the underwriting, they do all the checks, and we control the velocity of purchases. I won't say exactly who they are yet because we haven't finalized all the details. But they're a large company that literally focuses on institutions and single family residential housing.
Got it. And back on X,
it's
please.
about a $400 billion market in the US too, so it's fairly large.
That is that's incredible. I mean, that's like rivaling stablecoin volume, and stablecoins what we're all excited about. Minimum wage over on X is asking about what about the title companies and county databases? Would they have to opt in?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. When I was doing my initial research, it was like, how do you make this as robust as possible? The thing about county databases is like it's in the question. County databases is very fragmented, and in terms of kind of creating a standardized system, it's very difficult to do. So in terms of that, the title companies and county databases, we're not attaching the NFT to that. Maybe that's something that could happen in the future, but due to the kind of hurdles that we would face in doing so, and kind of obligations that would tie the NFT holder into kind of a more like what's the word, regulated environment, I guess is the best way to put it.
Nice. And also on X, Mama Llama asks if this would help decrease wait list time for families that are requesting Section 8 housing.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess this is more like a personal thing and kind of who I am. I feel that crypto and DeFi was always meant to empower and improve people's lives. And a goal for RAAC is, yes, to have a measurable difference on waitlist times for Section 8 housing.
Yeah, I hear that. I kind of get a little burnt out when I see like the meme coin flippers, and I think about like all the like use cases I've seen where crypto has made a meaningful difference. Less so in the United States, where RAAC investors are not, and more in like the third world where like it gives people access to stable coins and better forms of money. And I feel like those are the use cases where like you're actually improving people's lives that kind of get lost so often. So good on you for all that.
Thank you. And like kind of something that's it's a kind of a goal for us, so we're working towards it. And this is aspirational, but like we said, we feel that crypto has the power to change people's lives for the better beyond meme coins. So when I look at properties and kind of a big thing is, I'm sure everyone can, hopefully they can tell, is I'm aiming to be as positive sum across the space as I can. To me, an easy layup would be attaching DPIN sensors and hardware onto the physical infrastructure. And to me, when you talk about, oh yeah, you can leverage your ETH on Aave, and then you can go to Curve and earn interest, like it's so conceptual, it gets lost over people's heads. But if you tell someone they can collect data from their everyday lives and earn from it, I think that's very powerful. And when we talk about Section 8 housing and who the tenants are, it'd be very, we feel that it's like a what's the word? It's people that can basically benefit the most from financial literacy and learning about what the composability of DeFi and crypto has to offer. So we would love to improve our tenants' lives that way as well.
Excellent, excellent. So let's get back to a question that came along from a bit earlier, and this is a question that was coming in from DeFi Advisor. And big shout out because DeFi Advisor selected this video for his Telegram channel, Another Day in Crypto, as a highlighted video that people should be watching. So I'm sure that's where some of the people are coming in from. It seems like DeFi Advisor just really wants to invest, is my take on it, because he keeps asking questions about who else is invested and all that. And I'm sure you can't talk about some of these details, but like, can you talk at a more conceptual level about like the overall tokenomics that you're seeing for this? Like, what is this kind of like token structure? Which, if RAAC were to launch a token, which I don't even know if you will be planning on that or not, like how would it fit into this kind of overall ecosystem?
Yeah, for sure. So RAAC will have a token. It's going to be a VE based token, like obviously we're all familiar with. There is a little bit of a twist that we add. Um, we have two gauges. So part of what RAAC offers, and MD touched on this, was that kind of couch potato uh, mode, where we kind of have these pre-selected strategies, and these pre-selected strategies are actually going to be CRV USD LPs from Curve. And what's going to happen is you are able to direct RAAC emissions to these auto compounders. And essentially, what that does is incentivizes liquidity. And that's our first gauge. Then we have the second gauge, which is our RWA gauge. So that's where token holders can basically direct where we invest the real world asset income outside of maintaining interest rates. So it almost becomes like POL as a service for protocols, where if they own RAAC token, they have the duality to incentivize, but also become their own liquidity as well.
And of course, they're going to ask how you got so lucky as to get Curve back when it was at 20 cents or something like that. But you know, real ones who've been here for a long time now.
Yeah, and I would say like a big portion of what RAAC intends to do is built on the Curve ecosystem, obviously. So we have our own internal kind of treasury strategy, which can be looked at on our blog on our website. But basically, RAAC's goal is to become a real world asset and also a Curve ecosystem powerhouse.
Right. And part of that is you're planning on using the Llama Air Force's auto compounders.
Yeah. So Llama Air Force, they're going to be building and managing the compounders, auto compounders for RAAC. So like we said, we've really taken the time to really think about this and kind of bring in the best of the best from the Curve ecosystem. We're actually intending to work with Llama Risk as well to basically help with protocol optimization, parameters, and things like that.
Excellent. Well, it seems like on the investment front, you've also received an emotional investment from Robo Odin, who is checking in from Iceland, I believe. Before Ryan C bounces, let's get to his question about Section 8 housing, because he says it looks like it might be a big risk for not having an in-house management team, because he points out that there's a different quality of tenant in Section 8. Before Ryan C runs, can you address his concerns?
Yeah, for sure. So we actually do have a team member that is kind of overseeing this. But like we said, working with the institutional grade platform that runs all of this, and they also do the management as well. So they're experienced in it, and I can't. It'll be revealed in due time. But they've also taken a stab at on chain real estate as well. So they're quite a large company. So in terms of in-house versus them, would definitely be using their expertise for sure over ours.
Right on, right on. Now,
But I agree. I agree. The sensitivity to due diligence is huge in this because the asset that you're buying. So no, absolutely. And thanks for the question.
Yeah, and I'll also our we use a multinational multinational law firm who actually has an in-house Section 8 team as well that we use and rely on as well.
That's cool. So then what's the sort of fee structure look like? How do you plan to kind of siphon some portion of revenue to yourself to be able to fund this team?
Yeah, so basically, um, what we're intending to do is have a split between 20% treasury and 80% of platform revenue goes directly to RAAC holders. So that's how we would be able to fund the team. And part of what RAAC is, our aims to be, is extremely lean and agile. And I think that's what has allowed us to scoop up a lot of these opportunities that we haven't touched on just yet. But um, yeah, it's a very, very lean team. We're generating income from the real world assets. We're generating income from the DeFi platform. And we also have our initial raise that is going to be used to kind of um, fund us as well. Something that's unique is RAAC actually ends up creating um, a lot of like sub companies that have equity that are of interest to TradFi investors. So we have the ability to kind of generate capital outside of our token sale and kind of the RWA income as well.
That's cool. That's cool. Minimum wage, our friend on X comments that city governments could actually direct tax dollars that could provide incentive yield for living there through RAAC, which might be a way to get county regulators on board. Any thought to that?
I mean, I never thought of it. That sounds fantastic. Minimum wage is always putting out fire tweets and alpha, so we'll definitely be looking into that. Um, part of the reason of not getting too tied in to potentially is the the heavily regulated environment is always something we're always mindful of. So um, would if it's available and it doesn't create any regulatory hurdles, there's no reason why we wouldn't try to get counties on board.
Excellent, excellent. Then IW on X is asking about CVX RAAC. Do you think this is the Hippo project they're teasing?
I mean, CVX rack would be a dream for us for sure. I mean, obviously, I'm a big Curve ecosystem guy. I mean, it's not a rack. That's definitely not a rack decision. That's a convex decision. And if convex would be willing to take us, we would love to have a CVX rack.
Seems possible if you have the VE structure, right?
Yeah, very possible. Haven't opened up that line of communication. Boys, if you're listening, hit me up, and let's have a discussion.
And Robo Odin jokes that it could be auto compounding houses, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, the possibilities and the composability of DeFi really open things up. And although RAAC is not a REIT or anything like that, I like to think of the entire system when made up of its individual kind of stakeholders ends up creating a REIT in its kind of entirety, if that makes sense.
REIT would be a real estate income trust, right?
No, real estate investment trust.
Investment trust. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
But I also think it's a great like opportunity from a capital side. I mean, the environment is that rates are stable to kind of heading down, which is positive for real estate. Again, the diversification aspect, I think, is not appreciated enough. There isn't enough diversification assets in DeFi. So I think this is a great asset class. And the yield structures are still big and wide. Some of these partners that we've been talking to, they see the differences. They see that they can solicit assets in the real world for an attractive rate that is a third of what is possible in DeFi. So, And with all of this new value created, what I'm really excited to see is how does this trickle through the system? I mean, with Bitcoin going up, Solana's moved from like 80 billion to like 115. Like, where's that 35 billion? Like, what's that? Where's that going to go? Like, there could be some propagation roll down that we might be rolling into, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the kind of like wild things about it is like we're also like entering a time where it seems like there's like much more talk about people like being able to leverage be able to like lend put up their Bitcoin as collateral to get a house loan in the first place, which kind of makes the entire like system this kind of weird Ouroboros where you could then take your house, tokenize it and through RAAC and buy more Bitcoin, which I don't know, like it gets a little like weird to think about. You're having these conversations though with property managers. Like, what's their general take on all this? Like, are they like desperate to get into DeFi? Are they kind of like novices and don't really know much, and you're having to educate them a lot on what these yields are? Like, what is the like general vibe you get when you talk to these people?
Yeah, great question. And this is, I think, what's unique about RAAC is, yeah, a lot of these guys are interested, um, but they just don't understand. They don't understand DeFi, right? They know there's yield, they know there's composability, but they have no idea what's going on. And I think that's a big differentiator between RAAC and many other RWA protocols is for myself, like I don't come from a TradFi background, right? I'm truly just I like to consider myself the thoughtful degen, and the thing is it's important to have these worlds connect, so that these guys can participate in DeFi. So they want to get in, they don't really know how, and we're kind of their key to doing that. And kind of what I was touching on earlier with our other RWA protocols and how TradFi they are, they don't understand. They don't have a deep understanding of how our systems work. And when you combine RAC's kind of value proposition with traditional finance, um, it really amplifies traditional investing. What RAC is for these guys is traditional asset investing, but amplified through decentralized systems and rails.
Got it. Got it. Well, let me give you a quick reality check here. So some bad news and some good news. The good news is that we are up to 668 people watching on X. So thank you all for everyone who's doing that. The bad news is the party's over because Bitcoin is going to zero. Jim Cramer has said, all I can tell you is if you own Bitcoin, that's a winner. So unfortunately, you might have timed your launch just a little bit wrong.
You know what? We'll see. You know what? Maybe this time he'll be right. The one time we'll give it to him.
That's right. A stop clock twice a day, right? So let's talk about what success looks like for all of you. In one of your blog posts, you talk about this kind of benchmark of 150 properties is kind of where you hit this kind of escape velocity. Like, what does it look like when RAAC has that level of properties in your system?
So what can happen there is there's basically enough rental yield generated to keep adding properties to the system. And basically it starts exponentially growing from there if you're taking a bit and purchasing a property kind of every month. And things have really accelerated for us. RAC has an opportunity to reach economies of scale very quickly through partners that we have. Our partner who's actually handling our asset tokenization is called Instruxy. They're another Chainlink build project. Very bright guy, or group of people. Sorry. My main point of contact basically was part of EY for 25 years. He basically founded two data startups, exited. So what they've developed is really interesting tech that can kind of track an asset from the start of its like life cycle to kind of like the end, if that makes sense. So if you start like a real estate construction project, they can use their tech to kind of create this golden thread from start to finish and kind of prove using Chainlink proof of reserves and functions where these projects are and how they've progressed. So they have a lot of TradFi partners and connections who are ready to tokenize, but they need that kind of extra utility behind it. Because as we've seen, many RWA platforms bring these assets on chain and they kind of fall flat on their face. So it's kind of a match made in heaven where we've been able to kind of more easily connect with traditional finance actors who are interested in RAAC. And that's how we know that these guys have the idea, but they're not too certain how to kind of add that extra utility in. So through Instruxy, as you mentioned, other asset classes, we were able to start working with gold miners who are interested in bringing gold on chain, and we are partnered with another protocol called VoltFi that will be launching soon as well, who's actually focused around energy investments. So really, what we have is kind of like I like to call it the RWA Federation that's kind of coming on chain where we each focus on our own silo. So you'll have a precious metal kind of protocol that's focused around precious metals and things like that. You have RAAC, which acts as the real estate silo, and you have our other partner VoltFi, which is kind of the energy silo. So there's not just us. There's many people like us who are kind of entering the space in the same manner, who are looking to create the most seamless and frictionless bridge between TradFi and DeFi. And we're kind of assisting in bringing in these different asset classes on chain, but kind of segregating them across different protocols because gives investors that granularity to kind of choose what kind of asset class they want to enter. But the aspirational or the end goal for us is to kind of create new structured products between us.
And you met all of these different RWA protocols through the Chainlink Accelerator?
So I met Instruxy through Chainlink Accelerator, and we partnered. And they have deep TradFi roots, as I mentioned. They were EY, worked in Ernst Young for 25 years. So this is where things kind of became more clear for us, where it was okay. It's not just real estate. You can bring any revenue generating asset, access our low and predictable borrowing rates um, to arbitrage DeFi. And part of Instruxy's tech is they actually have like a decentralized whitelist that can allow these TradFi products to interact with DeFi systems like RAAC as well. So you have the duality. You have the assets for DeFi, which is RAAC is providing, and then you have the ability for TradFi to just tokenize their assets and bring it to RAAC as well. So we're kind of a double-edged sword in a sense.
That's very cool. Could you talk a bit about your experience interacting with the llamas and like what the partnership looks like there?
Oh man, shout out to the llamas.
Seriously.
Just pure builders. Just awesome people. Not even just the founders. Everyone that's part of the llamas is someone who's serious within DeFi. You have a lot of other protocol founders who are a part of it, but I mean I will always maintain this, and I think I've been pretty vocal about it. If there's any place to build in DeFi, it's with the llamas. You're not going to get a better group of people that look out for each other, but who are also extremely knowledgeable. To me, RAAC and llamas they're synonymous. To me, we're a one. Um, so yeah, it's been great. And you know what? It's funny because like sure you're a founder, but like I was just a guy with an idea, right? And it takes a village to bring something like this to the level that we've reached. So yeah, the llamas have been instrumental, and I truly believe RAAC would not be kind of where it is without them. Um, Extremely bright dudes, very talented, very nice. My big thing is whenever I work with someone, the criteria is smart and nice, and they fit the criteria. So I mean, anyone listening who's not a llama, who has not really interacted with them, I highly suggest you grab a llama NFT and join the crew, because there's no better people to run with in DeFi than them.
All right. I'm feeling Llama's NFT is going to hit 100K floor price before Bitcoin hits 100K.
I mean, there could be some.
And the art is wicked, man. Look at the art.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. No, this like I think this is the other, like when we were doing talks, Crusher and I kept talking, like it's the curve opportunity is huge too. Curve cap, like when you were asking about awareness and stuff, it's still unknown, and it's known to us because we're in it, but it's not. It's an opportunity to grow the ecosystem too, and in the products that are attached to it and the community that's behind it.
Yeah, I have to imagine that's one of the reasons that Mitch has been so bullish on this project.
Yeah, it's seriously deeply rooted in the Curve ecosystem, and something we're kind of working on is, um, without getting too into the details of kind of how the mechanisms work. Our stability pool is actually made up of our lending pool, so it kind of is the same token. So we're going to have kind of this reserve that's being used kind of for liquidating and things like that. So it's not going to be fully utilized, meaning what we're able to do, or what we're aiming to do, is basically keep the reserves in SCRV USD to also bolster the Curve ecosystem, but also generate extra yield for our LPs and liquidity providers.
I feel like if this becomes big enough, you might almost see this like weird effect where like you have so much SCRV USD that the Curve USD borrow rates end up at sub market rate.
That's that's a goal.
Right? Wouldn't that be wild?
I mean, we would love to have a measurable impact on the Curve ecosystem as well. And just to touch on that a little bit more, it kind of seems like we're heading in the right direction. We currently have 740 million USD in LOIs to utilize the RAAC platform by TradFi, and working on another deal currently, which would basically add a 10x to that. So I mean, TradFi's here. TradFi's ready to dip their toes in, and we feel that we have the most seamless and frictionless bridge to doing so.
I mean, the thing that's, I think, most underappreciated about like the entire DeFi space in general is just how much the space is going to pop off if some of this TradFi liquidity gets bridged in. Like, it's going to be silly, right? Like, you know, when you're talking about these things, and we're going to just see like hundreds of millions of dollars be bridged in, because if you're a real estate developer, like, you know, that's the amount you need to think of, right? Like, you're not doing projects for 50K.
Right, exactly. And that's where I guess my original kind of thought was introduce this product to DeFi, prove the flow within DeFi, and then TradFi will take us on. But it seems like TradFi's so ready for it that they've already come and knocked at our door, essentially.
Yeah, so I mean, just buckle up. I'm super excited. MD, I've got a question for you, which is, I believe that you previously or currently are doing some work with asymmetry. Do you see any way that asymmetry is going to be fitting into all this?
Great crew. Yeah. Helped those guys in the past with our previous company that I was at. But absolutely, you know, the future is open to all opportunities. So, um, absolutely.
Very cool.
Obviously, if they're willing to, it's got to be something on their side. But
Of course, yeah.
um,
And then I'm a little curious because you keep mentioning this stability pool. Have you revealed too much about the structure of that? Is that going to look like sort of like taking a page from liquidity? Is that going to be taking a page from like the protocol FX liquidity stabilizing pools?
Yeah, it's definitely taking a page out of Liquidity's book. I mean, like I mentioned, I'm not a TradFi guy. I never had any TradFi experience. I never even I applied to a lot of DeFi protocols. No one would take me on. So I don't even have like it's I don't even have the traditional, I'm put on quotes, traditional DeFi experience. So really what you're seeing is a power user who's kind of taken what I feel are the best mechanisms of all these different protocols and combine them into our system.
That's very cool. I'm trying to look through the list of questions people sent me ahead of time because I want to make sure I get to everything. Is there anything like really critical that you've been wanting to talk about that I haven't asked?
Um, no, I think we've really covered a lot without diving too deep into the mechanisms. Because we start doing that, we'll be here another 4 or 5 hours.
I'm up
Um,
for it, man. But
But yeah, I think the most powerful thing is the kind of TradFi partnerships that we've been nailing down, and that will have a significant factor on our TVL when launching. Um, it's That's probably the most powerful thing, and that comes from kind of our partnership with gold miners and things like that. These guys want to not sell their gold, but they want to be able to earn off of it. So they want to come to RAAC and basically deposit their assets, take loans, and hit our auto compounders with some size.
yeah. So what's the biggest obstacle to getting any of these like officially on board? Is it just legal red tape and it's going to take like some time, or is there other obstacles?
Um, I would say it's not so much the legal red tape. It's more so I feel the educating and kind of going through the flow of how DeFi works with these people. That's probably the biggest hurdle I've always found is they have this idea. They go, "Oh, what is this Bitcoin thing?" But when it comes down to liquidity, how do you incentivize liquidity? How do you keep it? How do you structure rewards? Those are the things they don't understand, and that's where you need a DeFi native's expertise. I mean, we've seen lots of stable coins come out launched by TradFi people, and they can't play the liquidity games like we do. So explaining to these TradFi folks how that works and how RAAC is able to create the system and make sure it runs is probably the biggest hurdle because it's kind of backwards to what they know. So you got to make them unlearn what they know and then learn something brand new.
Got it. So how can the gorgeous llama community or anyone listening to this best help? Just educate people?
Yeah, I would say educate people. And I mean, like I said, it takes a village, and there's tons of people listening. If you guys have thoughts, ideas, ways to make it better, we're always open to suggestions, and we're really here to push DeFi and the Curve ecosystem forward. That's really my goal behind starting RAAC, to be honest. So we're here to be positive some and yeah, make our mark on chain and leave DeFi a better place than we found it. I'm a big believer in um, like I've always maintained this, that crypto has the power to change the world, and to be part of that in some small way is amazing.
Got it. Got it. Any other like parts of DeFi that you're excited about outside of anything you've already mentioned, like, or just crypto in general? Kind of interesting trends you're seeing that you wanted to give a shout out to?
I mean, I think everyone as a whole, I would say I'm very excited about all the different things that are coming out. Anyone who's putting their foot forward and trying to build something that adds utility in value, that's what I'm most excited about. And yeah, like this has been such a incredible journey so far, and you really meet the. I feel our industry is really filled with some of the most genuine people that you can come in contact with. So no, I'm just very excited to be building here with everyone who's looking to do something.
And so far in your experience building, any lessons you've learned that you'd want to share with people who might be looking at building something in crypto?
Yeah. I mean, my big thing. It's a little funny. I'm fanboying here, but originally when I first met you was in Paris in 2023, very briefly, and I had the idea of RAAC, and I was a little nervous to talk to people about it, and Mitch was there as well, and I was nervous to bring it up then. I think if you have an idea and it's professionally reviewed by your peers, don't be afraid to shoot for it, because in this industry or space, we don't look at who you are, anything like that. You look at the ideas of the person and kind of what they provide and bring to the table. So I would say if you have an idea and it's been reviewed, shoot for it, and just go for it. I would recommend, um, don't get too excited and start designing the NFT art. Do your legal. Make sure legal is sound. That's my biggest suggestion. Is find yourself a very good legal team and make sure everything is air gapped, because that's the most important part of what we do, and especially the growth that we're seeing. We will be under the eyes of regulators and things like that much more closely as DeFi grows. Um, so yeah, that's my recommendation to people who they are thinking about starting a protocol. Legal, and shoot for it.
All right. Well, maybe you can get Gary Gensler to join your board since he's retiring.
Oh, I don't know about that one. We'll keep him away from us for now. Maybe we'll give it 10, 15 years and see.
MD, any
Kirk Cap, I'd say, you got to surround yourself with folks that you trust, community that supports you, people that are smarter than you. It's always good to be working and have access to really smart folks. And there's a lot of them in the llama community, and courage. Takes fucking balls to do this, man. Crusher is he's got a lot of courage.
And I mean, yeah, MD is definitely right about that. Surrounding yourself with the right people, and take your time. I honestly feel if a product is good and it's not built around a kind of a short-term narrative within crypto, you can take your time to put all the pieces in place. Um, that's my suggestion as well. Don't try to rush things. Nothing will ever be perfect, but you try to arrange the pieces in the best way that fit as you go. And one more thing, sorry, is when you do something like this, it's like building a puzzle, but the pieces are always shifting on you, so you need to constantly be able to rearrange that puzzle. So I mean, the DeFi principles, being like adaptable. You need to be extremely adaptable and surround yourself with the right people.
Very cool.
Isn't there that old saying, overnight success takes 11 years?
Yeah, I think that's it. And like, I think it's probably correct because Ethereum's like 11 years old or so it's about to have its time in the spotlight.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, these things take time. DeFi takes time. as fast as we always move, and we see the rise and fall of protocols constantly every day, there is a way to do it sustainably. And
So someone's got to try. So let's go.
there you go.
Excellent, excellent. So where should people look to connect with you all and the RAAC project to learn more?
Yeah, you mean you can follow me at Crusher Crusher 49 on Twitter, and just for all the updates, we're gonna probably start blasting, going hard on the Twitter pretty quickly here. So following Regnum Aurum to keep updated, and we'll be opening our Discord soon. And another really easy way to access us: buy a llama, join the crew, get in the chat. Right, that's the best and most direct way. And I will say, the llamas are the lords of RAAC. So maybe you might want to scoop some up, right? So that's all. I'll leave it at that.
All right.
And
Same
thanks,
for you,
Curve Cap. No, I was just gonna say thank you for hosting.
Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure. Anytime, you guys welcome to come back. Anytime you got updates with me or any of the Leviathan hosts, and spread the word with our audience, because we know that squids and llamas are natural pairs. Who should I get in a future llama party, since you're plugged into llamas?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be great to have Hoth and Panda on.
Yeah, we should get them back on.
Yeah, love to chat with them. I mean, they're fantastic. And I could sit here and push the llamas down everyone's throats for the next 5 hours, but it's something I genuinely and truly believe in. They're a corner piece of DeFi in my mind.
Let me just go ahead and put on my llama costume for a second, so we can
There you
all
go.
llama out here for a sec.
Right. So you get it. I mean, you're obviously, you're part of it.
And just look at the art, man.
It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Although I did have I don't know if you caught it, but I did have some fun when I was trying to write the article on the hippos for Convex, and I was asking ChatGPT who would win the fight between a llama and a hippo, and it did not go good for the llama. And because llamas are, not naturally violent. So I was asking ChatGPT how many llamas would it actually take to defeat a hippo, and ChatGPT came back with 5,000.
No, I mean, there's only 1,000 guys. There's only 1,000.
I know it's not possible. There's not enough llamas out there.
We grow bigger. It'll be like Clifford, the big red dog, but you'll have 1,000 llamas like that,
Yeah, exactly. No, really appreciate you guys taking the chance to come here. Definitely look forward to talking more. Hopefully next time I'll be in some Section 8 housing when I do so. Not my parents' basement. But no, really appreciate it. Let's get everyone into a mansion. And other than that, squids, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to follow Leviathan on all of our channels. We got Telegram, where we got our 24/7 news feed. We got our Twitter account. And just generally want to hang out with all of you. We will probably be off next Friday for Thanksgiving, but we'll be doing a very, very special llama party on Monday to make up for it. So stay tuned for that one. Other than that, squids, we'll catch you all next tide.
Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate everyone that tuned in and listened to us babble for the last hour and 13 minutes. Yeah, really great to be here. So
much appreciated to the audience.